What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Erasure, and we're moving to the next album, Loveboat 2000. So I wanted to start by giving a big shout out to Seb and Mr. Solo and Herman and Phil, all of whom have provided Erasure material up to this point, and of course I reacted to a few albums early in this deep dive that were from CDs that I had purchased. In any case, I've never heard this album. I don't think I've ever heard anything from Erasure, at least knowingly, post-2000s, maybe even post-90s when I started, or post-80s, when I started going through this deep dive. So yes, ultimately, most of what I've heard since the first couple albums that I went through is new to me. But yes, I am curious how Erasure will sound as the 2000s began, and when many groups that maybe were most famous for their 80s material were evolving, trying different styles, or at the least updating their electronic synth-pop sound based on new production techniques and hardware and software. So yes, I wonder how this will sound sonically, though at the same time I have no doubt it will be characteristically Erasure. Now, even then, of course it's fair to say that the self-titled 95 album was, long tracks, very artful and experimental, or at least relative to their catchy 80s synth-pop type hit tunes. And then of course Cowboy was maybe a shift back to, more foot-tapping, melody gets stuck in your head type of tracks, but ultimately I am curious what we're about to hear. The first track is Freedom. I've certainly talked about this concept in other reactions, whether we're talking George Michael or some of my punk rock reactions, but it means being uninhibited. It means not having shackles, conceptual or literal. It means being at liberty to make decisions, whether those are emotional or practical or interpersonal, and thus being unbounded. Of course, freedom comes with responsibilities, because if you can act in a way that is open, some of those possibilities, some of those choices may impose or indeed impinge on others, or rely on the energy, effort, and emotion of others, and thus some of your actions, your use of that freedom could have consequences, both positive and negative, but they may be deleterious or harmful to others if you are callous or careless with your dispensation of agency within the context of freedom. I'm surely going too far off the deep end here. I will stop talking, but let's give it a listen. This is Erasure. The track is Freedom, and it's the opening tune on their 2000 album Loveboat, which admittedly, isn't that a sitcom? I want to say like going back to the 70s or something, The Loveboat. I doubt there's any connection here, but I suppose it wouldn't be entirely out of the question, so I have to raise that possibility. But here we go, Erasure, Freedom, the opening track on Loveboat 2000. what sound was. Okay, so definitely still an electronic sound, but there was almost like two sides to the track, almost like someone was at the DJ mixer and was going back and forth on a crossfader between a folk pop, if also electronic type of tune with, that acoustic guitar strumming away and a real like out in the sun on the beach or indeed on the deck of a love boat type of feel. And then there was like this slightly darker and almost like inside out heavier electronic side of the track with that like vocoded vocal or whatever that was, though I think it was like doo-wop or something. It sounded kind of like a doo-wop or like a Motown supporting vocal, but like filtered through a more modern electronic sound. So yeah, a bit of a like multi-sided tune musically. Lyrically, from what I caught, it sounds like this is an extension of and maybe an update to a song like Chains of Love. The idea that it's looking forward to a future date when people are free to love as they wish without, the condemnations or repressions or indeed shackles imposed by backward aspects of society or people who don't allow those different from themselves to be themselves. And in a way it had a bit of a like spiritual type of vibe, like a soulful spiritual vibe with the vocals, like it was a gospel or spiritual choir, singing and, even talking about, reaching up to touch the sky and the heavens above, and the idea that, there's hope that is helping people endure, and knowing that at some point, the repression or the prohibitions that have prevented them from loving the way they want will be torn to the side or cast down, and there will be genuine freedom. So again, it feels like Chains of Love and Freedom is in a very similar territory, but perhaps again with like 15 or so years of evolution of those concepts and perhaps the progression of societal attitudes. So yeah, ultimately it feels like a song that's in a territory where I've heard multiple songs of theirs address already, but with a hopeful and uplifting type of feel. And yeah, like a bit more folksy, or maybe that's not the right word. It sounded like, the kind of track you listen to on a cruise maybe, with a bit of a like world music flavor with the acoustic guitar. You can think of sandy beaches, someone playing a guitar with palm trees and so on, or indeed, again, on the deck of a cruise ship. But maybe, like, conceptually, the idea of, traveling to a place where everyone is allowed to be who they want to be and to love the way they want to be. So, yeah, freedom, less about dangers of responsibility and more about casting off the shackles that have, for millennia, for centuries, for decades, and right up on into the present, been imposed on others who happen to be different from what is the normative, like, standard, and so on. So, yeah, that's the way I took it. Do let me know what you think. Looking forward to another Erasure album, and especially, as I said, as they move into an era of sonics that is perhaps evolved and yet still characteristically Erasure. So, let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.